What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content daily. We also stream over on Twitch at This Is Aftersound, so come by and say hello. All right, doing my weekly series here on the Splinterlands Town Hall. Again, this video is my 5 biggest takeaways and not a summary, so really just the 5 things that kind of caught my attention and that I wanted to expand a little bit more on in this video. So if you want a summary, there are plenty of other content creators, and I highly recommend you go check them out, support them, that put together summaries on this. What I'm looking at right now is the official Splinterlands post on it, so or at least the summary of what they have. So if you want just a quick reader, all you need to do is check this out. Okay, so here is my little visual that I use, so you can get a little preview of what we'll be discussing today. Oh, it was the 16th. See, look at me. I'm not even fully prepared, guys. No, I'm just messing. I mean, I'm not messing because it actually wasn't prepared, but I have everything else ready to go. So number 1, obviously, this is exciting because there was so much hype around Waka, and say what you want about whether he was effective or not, or it brought things in, or whether he's an overpowered card or not. But the idea, at least initially, and even now, I would say to a certain extent, was awesome that we had big name, people within culture and influence that were able to, or that wanted to kind of align themselves with Splinterlands. And so there is talk now about an athlete, a major athlete, who will be the next promo card, and we could potentially see that in the next 1 to 2 months. So if you have not been gathering, vouchers, or if you've been selling them like I have, maybe it might be time to rethink that. And see what is potentially possible. Now, we don't have any other details for this upcoming, although the one thing, and again, none of this is confirmed, so you have to take it all with a grain of salt until we do get a white paper or some kind of post officially announcing it, is that this will not be a, maxed out card that is completely, at whatever level 4 BCX, or who knows, it might not be a legendary. Although if I was working with the game, or if I was like a big celebrity working with the game, I would want the card to be a legendary. So I think it has to be. But they're saying that this could be at the 1 BCX level rather than starting at the 4 BCX level and kind of pricing a lot of the smaller players out. So that could be good, and hopefully a lesson learned from Waka. And now the thing is, there's a lot of really great things to take away from Waka, but at the same time, I think there were a lot of lessons learned. It was the first time that the team has done anything like this, and so yeah, it's great to see them continuing to build on this. I'm obviously excited about it. I don't even know how to speculate who it could be, but we are starting to really get into the different areas of culture, right? So we did music first, now we're doing sports, and that's a good 1-2 punch right there. So as we go further, we will see how this plays out. But I'm excited to see that, and I think it's gonna come at a great time. Obviously, there's the modern WoW format coming up soon, and obviously we're gonna be hitting the airdrop soon for Carnage Titan. I do believe that it will be a while before we get the first legendary summoner, just because card pack sales have been so slow. So this could be something that kind of comes in between there, which would be really nice. All right, number 2. I forgot who said this. It might have been Chatter, it might have been Weirdbeard, but so one of the team members mentioned this in the town hall. The quote was, and I don't even know who the quote is attributed to, but culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I thought this was a great way to look at this. And what the team has been doing, like I've been saying, is really integrating themselves within culture, right? So working with Imagine Dragons, working with Waka Flocka, working with potentially somebody in the sports realm. So the thing is, Splinterlands as a brand, right? And I just put a video out about this. Splinterlands as a brand is really going to start hitting the mainstream. Now, I'm not talking about mainstream adoption. I am just saying that your random person who has only heard of Bitcoin but doesn't really know anything about crypto and thinks it's all full of scams, full of whatever, they are going to start hearing about Splinterlands or seeing Splinterlands or having a name association with a lot of these different things, right? So you have to understand, when it comes to branding, when it comes to marketing, I'm not an expert on this, but I do understand the concept that it takes a certain amount of impressions, right? I like, for example, I'm sure anybody can think about it in their history. And for Splinterlands, I don't remember personally for Splinterlands, but with anything, it's just like if you hear about it the first time, you may not be jumping on it. But when you start hearing about it like two, three, four, and from different areas, right? To like from different people, sometimes it's just like, okay, what is this thing? Let me go check it out. And then boom, you got somebody caught in the net and they go down the rabbit hole and they might not stick around, right? That's the whole point. Like you're not going to get everybody, not everybody loves the same things, but you get them into the ecosystem, you get them into just the web of understanding what Splinterlands is. And if you are able to keep a certain percentage of them and convert them into diehard fans, diehard players, diehard supporters, that base of players, that base of like community only continues to grow over time. So, I know people have been looking at the ads, and they looked at the Waka performance and things like that. And it's just like, it's hard to look at that. It's hard to look at Waka and actually make any kind of tangible, like analysis from the result. Like, yes, you can look at Waka and say we had X amount of signups, or we didn't have any signups after Waka, like it was insignificant or whatever the money was, that it just wasn't worth the spend. Sure, you can do that, but understand, and this is something else mentioned, like this is a snowball effect, right? This is very much a snowball effect. Now, the best way that I can describe this is thinking about 20. Well, okay, so let me start with this. Thinking about, like, for me as a musician, right? Like the snowball effect is like I can put out one song and it may be a banger, it may not be, but it may get somebody into my ecosystem, right? It may grab someone and say like, oh, I like this style of music, I like this whatever, I like this voice, whatever it could be. But it's one of those things where you build one person at a time, and it just takes a while, certain impressions, and yeah, I don't know. That's where I'm looking at. The other part of this whole culture over strategy that I really wanted to stress is one of the biggest surprises for 2021, and this may have been one of the biggest news stories, probably, at least in terms of crypto, was the success of Dogecoin. I can't believe we're talking about Dogecoin here, but I was shocked. So I was one of those people that was just like, this project is nothing. It doesn't have anything behind it. There's like no active development. So there's no strategy, but there was culture. And there was this penetration of culture that Dogecoin had. There was this massive community that was a buy the dip, hodl, do all these things like with Dogecoin that pumped it up all the way as high as 70 cents. Now, yes, is there some crazy weird whale games that are happening that dumped it from 70 cents or 75 cents back down to like 11 cents to where it is now? Sure, but the rest of the market is down too, and you're going to have that in crypto. But the thing is, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that coin was 0.0002. I wish I had bought some at that point, because even now to go put from 0.0002 to 11 cents, I mean, that's what, 500x? Yeah, I think if my math is right, or rough math is right, that's a 500x. So that's my whole point with this, where right now Splinterlands is really trying to penetrate culture. They're really trying to get out there and be a brand, right? Again, to reference the other video that I posted. And to me, that's really important. And I think that this is something that will pay dividends highly in the future, and in ways that you may never expect, and in ways that we from the outside and even from the team inside may not fully be able to connect the dots until we are several years away from this and are just like, hey, you know what? If this person hadn't tweeted that about this, then like this new celebrity wouldn't have come into our ecosystem and created a card that changed the game and brought in 5 million players. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to really, you can't judge everything so quickly and so harshly. So right now, I think the team is doing a fantastic job of really trying to penetrate culture in a positive way. And, Waka was the first part. This Warner Music deal and partnership is going to be a great thing. This upcoming promo card could potentially be another one. So there's a lot of things happening, and we're just in a lull spot from where we are right now. So the market is down and all this, but team is working hard, and I appreciate that. Okay, so number 3, Nate mentioned that the artwork is going to change after Rift Watchers. Now, For me, like the artwork is cool. I love it. And from a branding perspective, I think it's great that there's this branding and lore perspective, right? That they're creating this. But what really caught me or caught my attention, and I apologize, I feel like they mow the grass here every day because it grows so quickly. But what really caught my attention with this was the idea that Nate was saying, after Rift Watchers, there's going to be this shift in artwork to really focus on what can these assets be used for, right? What are some of the other things that can be done with them if we wanted to animate them in the future, create comic books, create all these different, assets, or no, sorry, using all the assets to create all these different new media potentially. So to me, that was just like, okay, here's another like long-term view where the team is like, again, it feels like they are turning a corner here, right? There is so much coming down the pipeline that we are not privy to on the outside, and even for the team, is probably not fully it's not fully figured out yet. But this is something that is growing, and the team, this is to kind of jump around here. There was I think it was Fidel who mentioned, and let's see, who was this? Fidel, who is a general partner at Side Door Adventures. So this is something that they were talking about where like, this is the best game in play to earn right now. And I think it's hard to argue that. Like, I've covered and looked at a lot of other games, but many that are super hyped aren't fully launched. And many that are launched and super hyped aren't awesome games. Like, it's not about the game element, right? So taking this back to the artwork, I really feel like what they're doing is really setting themselves up in the future for creating the intellectual property, right? Like having just being as ready as possible with the intellectual property to take this thing to the freaking moon, right? And I always go back to like Pokemon or Magic the Gathering, and how like I watched the Pokemon TV show. I used to read the Magic the Gathering books. Like, this is something that could potentially be huge from that perspective. And Nate from a creative side and Nate as the creative director and from the creative side is really starting to look at this and say, okay, well, let's reposition ourselves to make sure that everything we're doing at the foundational layer can be scaled up appropriately in any direction that we want to go. And I think that's awesome. Okay. Number 4. All right. Rift Watchers was talked about, and it was hinted at, or at least mentioned, that it could be in Q3 or Q4. So we first heard about Rift Watchers. The first date we were given was March. That didn't happen. Obviously, Chaos Legion did not sell out the way everybody was expecting it to. So then we heard Q2. Now we're hearing Q3. And for the first time in a public setting or a town hall, Rift Watchers was mentioned. Yeah, Q3 or Q4. It was almost casually, right? And the summary here has it aiming to be released around Q3. But Q4 is now being floated as a potential option, right? So I'm not one of those guys to say that I told you so, but I did say that we need to practice a little bit of patience here and to understand that stuff is just not going to come in the time that we or even the team is expecting. So there's a lot going on, and I want Rift Watchers here as soon as possible. But again, this is what I'm talking about, where stuff is just kind of moving around. It's very wavy. It's very, so, at this point in time, I would say Q3 is probably at least hopeful. I mean, I'm sure the team is going to shoot to get it out in Q3. June is out of the question now. So June is not within Q3. I think July is probably out of the question now too, because I think there's going to be a lot happening in July with the end of the airdrop. Now, again, there might be a drawn out process where there's like a 1 month pre-sale, and then who knows if they do some weird phase 2 thing like they did. I hope they don't. I hope it's just a pre-sale and then it's open to everybody. Or if it's all vouchers, then actually there would still probably be a pre-sale, but that is besides the point. So, prepare for stuff to get pushed out. As it is, the first thing that we're expecting is modern and wild format. I think that's going to be hopefully a big game changer, at least for the experience for players here. And we're told that is going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks, or hopefully within the next 6 weeks here by the end of April. But obviously I'm ready. I'm ready for more delays, because at the end of the day, I want them to get it right. Don't rush it out just because everybody's like whining about it. But at the same time, like we want it ASAP as possible, or as soon as possible. Okay, last one. Waka Spirit Blade is coming back home. So there were some acknowledgments by the team about Waka and the sale on Atomic Hub not doing great. I mean, even Agrod mentioned how he doesn't like to bother with new blockchains and figuring things out, setting up wallets, doing all that stuff. And so, what they're going to do, and let me see, I thought they had a thing here. Here we go. So, lesson learned. Going forward, new collabs will be sold exclusively in Splinterland. So I think that's great, because if that had been the case, I think they all would have sold out still in under a minute. What's going to be interesting here, so they're going to bring the unsold Wakas back, and there is going to be a burn timer. So if they aren't sold within a certain period of time, which could be weeks or a week, I'm not sure exactly, but I think it's not going to be a short time. But if they're not sold in that time, then they will be burned, which could be interesting, because it would make all the other Wakas just a little more scarce in that sense. So if you have one, I'm happy for you. If you're planning to get another one, this is something to keep an eye on. But yeah, other than that, guys, that's all I really have for you in this video today. Now, there was a lot else that was discussed. There were a couple of really great guests that were on the channel. I'm sorry, that were on the town hall. And I think it would be good to, just go in and listen. So the community gaming folks, Nico the Pico, they're doing a well, actually, it might have already happened. The 250,000 pack opening, and then Fidel from General Partners, from Side Door Ventures, was also a good conversation. So, I can give you like the spark notes of these, but I think it's good to just go and listen to some of the people who are really passionate about this game, that are investing in it, and that are not part of the team, but are building their businesses and what they're doing completely around the game. And I think that's awesome. So if you have a minute, go check it out. Actually, not a minute. If you have 2 hours, go check it out. But these are my 5 biggest takeaways. Let me know what some of your big takeaways were if you listened, and I would love to continue the conversation down in the comment section below. Have an amazing rest of your day. I will catch you all in the next video, and I will see you around the game. Take care.